Hey loves, thank you so much for clicking on this video. You know it's your girl Kayla. Today we are doing a story time, so don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Now let's get into the video. So last summer I took a break from YouTube. When I came back, I don't think I explained what happened or where I was, but I went on the J1 Work and Travel program and I have a story to tell. I want to start this video by saying, if any of you know these people, or if you worked with them and you're saying they would never do that, or I didn't have that experience, perfect. I love that for you. I'm so happy that you did not experience anything that I went through. But two things can be true at once, and it does not take away from my experience and the fact that this happened to me. Just want to say that. Look at this, y'all. Okay, we have a lot to discuss. I want to give you all some background information. I went on the program with my sister. We used Global Insights as our agency. I don't recall having any issues with them, so I think they're good. The sponsor for Global Insight and then for us was CIEE. Not really sure how I'm feeling about them. I don't think I would recommend. Another disclaimer, you have to pay keen attention to this video because something that I mentioned earlier will make sense later. Before we get into the story, this job felt like it was in the middle of nowhere. We had to take so many different planes just to get to Mackinac. We arrived at the Pellston Airport, and when we went outside, it honestly felt like a ghost town. It felt like nothing was in the area, nothing at all. Now, the lady that picked us up, she is very important to the story. I think her position is assistant supervisor, and we are going to call her Puss. Right? Now, Puss, she seemed very sweet, very nice. She was, giving us the rundown of the town, of the job. She even mentioned a Jamaican lady that actually works with them. And she said she helped the J1s the last year to get jobs and things like that. And she was saying she understands what it's like for us J1 students. So they try their best to work with us. And we're like, okay. Now, let's get into the story time. I am definitely going to take responsibility for my own actions. So the first issue that I had, unfortunately, was my fault. The first few days I worked there, I was late. And I would like to say it's not my fault, but at the end of the day, late is late. I had issues with my bicycle. Thankfully, there was, I don't know exactly who he was, but we were told about him by the Jamaican lady that works with us. Her name in this story is going to be Bob to the Top. Anyways, so she told us about this guy at the church that actually rented bicycles to J1 students for only $50. So you pay him the $50, you get the bicycle, and at the end of the summer, you get your $50 back if everything is okay with the bicycle. So I would say that's another pro. I really love that. So we went to get the bicycle, y'all. This man is nowhere to be found. So we have to wait for him. We're calling, hello. We're walking around the church building. I don't know where this man is. That was that day. The other day, I got my bicycle. I'm riding to work. The chain is falling off. I'm stopping to fix the chain. I'm riding again. The chain is falling off. I'm just having issues with the bicycle. The next morning, I had to take the bicycle back to switch the bicycle. Same thing is happening. He's nowhere to be found. We have to go through find the bicycles. I couldn't go in the afternoon because he's not there in the afternoons, and my lunchtime is probably his lunchtime. So I really just had issues going on. I should also say our work hours during that time was it started at 8:45. So from 8:45 to 9 a.m., we had to be at work to count the drawers, stock the gift store. Oh, I did not mention any of that. So some background information. We were working at two locations. It was either the Fort Colonial Michela Mackinac or at the Old Mackinac Point Lighthouse. So we were working in the gift stores, basically. So we were responsible for, selling the tickets and selling the merchandise. So back to what I was saying, from 8:45 to 9 a.m., we had to count the drawers, ensure everything in the store was okay, restock anything. So the few days that I was late when I first got there, it was always in between that period. But I have to take responsibility. Late is late. I remember this so specifically, and it is important to the story. There was one day I'm working at the lighthouse, and Puss, she came over, and so she's a supervisor, so sometimes she dibble dabbles between the locations. Especially, we kind of just got there, so she was more, teaching us and things like that. And she just started asking me questions. What time do you have to come to work in the mornings? What time is lunchtime? What time do you have your break time? So I'm giving her the answers, but I'm also looking at her like, why are you doing this? Why am I being quizzed? And she says to me, well, yeah, I was just told to talk to you guys because Remy is going to be the name of the main supervisor of the guest services representative team, the GSR team. She said, yeah, because Remy saw your sister riding past the office at 8:53 this morning. So I was just told to talk to you guys. The reason why I remember that conversation is I had a conversation with my sister on my own. We had discussions together saying, listen, the fact that they actually had to come and talk to us and, quiz us on this whole time thing, whatever, like, let's get ourselves together. We had that conversation, and that, in fact, we did. We got ourselves together, and we made sure we never got good people in workplace late. My second issue, working at the lighthouse became almost miserable for me. It was not my favorite thing to do, and that is because of Bop to the Top. I think she did the utmost when it came to certain things, and it was just uncalled for. During the May, June period, they have these little bugs called midges. Picture mosquitoes, and I mean swarms of mosquitoes just everywhere. You're walking, they're flying into your mouth, your nose, your eyes, just all over the place, right? With all of that being said, you cannot prevent the midges from being in the store and from flying on. It also did not make sense to clean. The midges come back, clean again. The midges come back, clean again. In my opinion, that is not working productively because regardless, they are going to come back. No, Bob to the Top would literally have me doing the strangest things. One day, this lady came over to me and told me to empty the barrels because there are midges. You guys, I mean, I'll insert a picture of the barrels that I am talking about. The bottom of the barrels that no one is seeing. I'm not saying this to say I did not want to do my job or I did not want to clean, because light cleaning is a part of the job description. Basically, some of the tasks that she wanted us to do, it just seemed like things nobody would ever think to do, or she literally just says, oh, they're here now, I don't want to do this, I'll just let them do it. That's what it felt like, and I did not really like that. Would you all believe at some point it's like this lady started to pick on me and I did not understand it. During the down times, I like to draw, I like to doodle, so I would grab scrap paper and a pencil and a pen, and I'm just making some little doodles or whatever. I actually took some of them home with me. I'll add that in the video too so that you can see the type of doodles I was doing, the little piece of paper. Anytime she sees me doing that, she'll come over and be like, no, you can't do that, da 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 da. You guys, I am standing with my hands in my pockets, not speaking to anyone, not speaking to a customer, just standing with my hands in my pocket. This lady comes over to me and tells me, no, you can't stand with your hands in your pocket. If one of the bosses come and see you, you're going to get in trouble. Like, what? What? It got so bad. I was honestly so tired of this lady picking on me. I could not do anything about it but just stand there and bear it because I'm at work and I'm just here to work. Instead of doodling, I would just take one of those scrap paper and start jotting down things that she picked on me about or things that she said to me so that I could just go home and debrief with my sister. That was the only thing I was finding comfort in. I can't remember every single detail right now, but I'm saying it was just nagging and it was annoying. There was this one specific day, Puss came. I don't remember exactly why she was there, but as I said, she's assistant supervisor. So she was there and I needed to use the restroom. So I left from around the counter, and when you work at the lighthouse, you have to go upstairs to one of the buildings to use the bathroom. So I was completely out of the building that I worked in. I went to use the bathroom. When I came back, Puss she took me one side and she wanted to talk to me. So she said, "When you come in the mornings, just put your phone under the counter." So I said, "Why? Did she tell you that I'm on here using my phone or something?" And she said, "Yes." So I told her, "We need to discuss this right now." Unfortunately, we did not get to go over there and talk to her about it because she was dealing with a customer and then we had more customers come in. So the issue kind of just, blew over. But I was actually upset about that because one, I am not a child. If you want to say something about me, we're in a workplace setting. If you want to say something about me, especially accuse me of always being on my phone, you don't wait until I leave the room to say something about me. That's one. Two, I think it was also very conniving because why would you wait until I leave? And then, as you can see, Post did not call me over to have a conversation with me to ask me about it. She heard what she had to say and she just made a decision, not hearing my side of it. So I was not there to defend myself. That, no. If we did get a chance to have that conversation, what I would have said, as I mentioned earlier, I am taking responsibility for my own actions. Yes, I have used my phone before, but for very specific reasons. I've never once been on my phone scrolling, using any social media or anything like that. And the few times I did use it, no customers were in the store. You guys, the times that she might have referenced, but I would not know because I was not there for the conversation, I was literally sending my address to my grandmother. We were in the state, in Michigan, in a new area that we did not know. So I was letting my grandmother know where we were. That's one. The other time I took up my phone to use it, I had a very mysterious rash on my hand. I'm going to insert the picture. I was researching doctors in the area that I could go to because I've never had a rash like that. I did not know what was happening. One of the group leaders were there at the moment and they are witness to that, what I was doing on my phone. I don't know. I don't like that. For her to make it seem like I was just always on my phone when I should be working, I did not like that. And Post did not even ask me anything. You guys, she literally called me over there and she said, "When you get here in the mornings, put your phone under the counter." And would you guys, you don't know how badly I wish I still had this video in my phone, but it just goes to show you that I had no bad intentions. I did not know that any of the things that I'm saying in this video would play out. I probably deleted the video not knowing that I would need it. But unprovoked, me and Bob to the Top, we are at work one day and she has a younger daughter. I think her daughter is probably like 18 or something like that. And she's very into like sporty stuff or whatever. I'm not sure what performance. I want to say it was the Super Bowl performance. I'll have to double check. But she pulls out her phone and she says to me, "Do you know Kendrick Lamar?" No customer was in the store, of course. She puts out her phone right where the cash register is and plays Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance. And she's there singing and rocking to the music. And I'm in the back and I actually took a video on my phone just so I could show my sister, but not with ill intentions, just like saying, "Oh, like we're vibing at work." She did that, you guys. If that's the type of things that you do, and I don't go complaining to anyone, because I could have told anybody that, "Hey, this lady pulled out her phone playing Kendrick Lamar's video at work and da 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 da." That's not my business. I don't care. You are not affecting my job or preventing me from doing my job. You get me? So you're on your phone and I'm not saying anything. Why would you do that? Like, it does not make sense. you go and complain on somebody about something that you do. That does not make sense to me. I'm sorry. And then also another reason why she is not on her phone so often, she has her people call the work phone. Because I know some of her business. And how do I know that? Because she has the people call the house phone and the work phone, and she talks to them on the work phone. And mind you, they're very, very quick conversations. So I can see that they're quick conversations. But you get what I'm saying? Like, I would never, to this day, I don't know why she did that. And this is very important to know. Bob to the Top was the only other black person working with us besides my sister and the other J1 student from Jamaica. And she was Jamaican. She was a lady that Puss told us about from before we even got to the apartments. The first experience I had with Bob to the Top, it was so surreal. She literally saw me walking on the road. She was in her car driving and she spoke to me from across the road. She was like, hey, are you from Jamaica? I said, yes. Are you working for GSR, da da da? I'm like, yes, that's me. But then after experiencing all of that, my few times working with her, honestly, the veil started to lift. I'm just starting to realize that these people really were not who they appeared to be. The third issue is orientation. I would say at this point, we have been working there for like a month now, because I believe orientation was in June. The orientation was done by the HR director. We are going to call him the Big Bad Wolf because he is the reason why I am making this story time. So I mentioned that the two locations we worked at was the fort or the lighthouse, right? They also had a fort on the island, and that is where we had to go for the orientation. When we got there, it was some sort of presentation. Then we had breakfast and we were about to start the walk-in tour. We were not expecting the walk-in to be that much. During this time, it was myself, my sister, and the other J1 student from Jamaica. It was just the three of us, and mind you, we are the only ones from the GSR team present at that orientation because everybody else already had theirs prior to us being there. That's one. Also, we are the only black females present. Prior to this orientation, my sister decided she wanted to work out. She will laugh about it and say she doesn't know why she even wanted to do that, but it happened. If you work out, you know that especially when you just start, you are going to be sore. So she was already sore prior to us coming to the orientation. Like I said, we were not expecting to be walking so much. And because it's the three of us, we have a bond, we're cool, we're basically rocking together. So while we were there walking, we were trying to keep up with my sister, and she was walking the slowest out of the group because she was in pain. And you guys, we had to climb up a hill. I cannot even describe to you the steepness of that hill or how long we had to walk, but we were walking for some time, you guys. Now, the Big Bad Wolf, ever since we got on the ferry, I believe, he has been telling us, and I can admit that, do not miss the 12 o'clock ferry. So after we came from the walking tour, we had some personal time to do our own little tour of the island. Unfortunately for us, we misunderstood that little preposition there, and we thought we were supposed to get to the dock at 12, but unfortunately, we were supposed to get there before because the ferry was leaving at 12. Simple misunderstanding, and it was very unfortunate because you can't imagine how we felt, embarrassed and ashamed that the ferry left us. Honestly, that's how we felt. And to make matters worse, it was truly an accident because we literally passed the dock for the ferry and we went to a lookout spot because in our heads we still had a few more minutes. So by the time we came back there, babes, the ferry was gone. It was gone. I already made up my mind that I was just going to speak to the Big Bad Wolf about it and, explain what happened and why we actually missed the ferry. So we got on the next ferry. We went back to the city. We eventually caught up with the group because they did not go far. The only good thing is because they were still doing the walking tours, we didn't miss much because we actually work in the city. Okay, we caught up with them and I saw the big bad wolf. Immediately, I was about to apologize and, get into explaining the mishap and the mix up with missing the ferry. Immediately, he just stops me. He was like, "Oh, it's cool." He's laughing. He literally fist bumps me, you guys. Fist bumps me. And please remember this, it's so important. So that was it. We went into the boardroom. We had to do some rundown talks about harassment and things like that. And he said out of his own mouth, he was basically saying if we have any issues or whatever, just let him know. I mean, because obviously he's the person responsible for HR. And he said, at this point in the season, we need you. We cannot afford to lose any of you. The day continued on. We went to the other location, which was Mill Creek. We finished the orientation. I think they had a picnic after that same day, but none of us went, and we just went back to the apartments. That was that. Now we are going into the fourth main issue, which is docking pay. Before I get into that, I have to give a bit more background information. I remember one day I was working with Bob to the Top, and my period started that very morning before I got to work. I thought I took up my pills, but I did not. If you know me personally, you know period cramps and I are not the best of friends. I have the worst cramps, and by worst, I mean I am that girl that is throwing up, and I am that girl that needs to sit on the toilet because it's coming out both ends, if you know what I mean. So I have it terribly. I was still at work trying to push through because I'm at work. And then I said, why am I forcing myself? If I don't feel good, I simply don't feel good. So when we are at work, if any issues, come about, we are supposed to make the leads aware. The leads are like basically what the name says. They're like the leader for the day, or the person who's responsible for the GSR team for that day. I stepped from around the counter, I removed myself, and I went outside on my phone and I called the lead. I explained to her what happened, that I wasn't feeling well and that I wanted to go home. Out of my peripheral vision, literally, like my back, so the door is behind me, the entrance to the store is behind me, and I'm outside facing you guys, right? And I'm on the phone just like this, and out of my peripheral, because I can feel the presence basically behind me, so I kind of turn. Bob to the Top is standing at the door, and she's somewhat listening to my conversation. So when I went back inside, she said to me, because the lead said, yeah, it's cool, you can go home. She said to me, oh, if you weren't feeling well, you could have just let me know. I let the person that I should know. But I also could not believe that this lady followed me to the door and listened to my conversation. And I don't mean this in a way like I did not want her to know that I was on my period or anything like that, but in a way that what she did was disrespectful. It just reiterates what I was saying earlier, that I think they treat us as if we are children. Because if I appeared to be bigger in body, or if my title was higher, there was no way you would follow somebody else outside the door on our conversation. What it was, she thought I was just going out there idling on my phone. But as I said earlier with that whole phone situation, that's not me. So I did not like that she did that. I found that very disrespectful. Why? But anyways, that was that day, and I left home. And when it was time for me to do my time schedule or whatever, I adjusted my time because I was not at work for the whole day. So I just put the hours that I was there, and I believe that was only like 2 hours. In the weeks that followed that situation, I was working at the fort now, and Puss came and she called me one side and she said to me, Remy wanted me to speak to you because you did not adjust your timesheet. So I was saying, what? I did adjust my timesheet. What are you talking about? To this day, I don't know what she was referencing or what exactly happened, because Remy did not come directly to me to say whatever Remy did not show me, maybe if I did something wrong. She just went to her and then she came to me. I have no idea what that situation was about. And that was that. But what really interested me is where the conversation went after that. Puss is then going to tell me the big bad wolf was very upset about what happened at orientation and he told Remy to take it out of our pay. Now you can imagine my surprise hearing her say that, because after the incident happened, I tried to have a conversation with him about it and he brushed it off as if it was no big deal and everything was fine. And mind y'all, we did not miss that ferry on purpose. We felt terrible about it. In my opinion, the respectable thing to do, even if you felt like our pay did deserve to be cut because of that, say it to me in the moment or say it to me after the fact or something. I don't know. But once again, I just felt like it was conversation being held behind my back where I was not able to speak or defend myself or to say anything about that. It was just no communication in that regard. The veil continued to lift and I truly began to see these people for who they were. These people, they are very talkative and I will soon realize that they don't know the difference between having an issue with someone versus working comfortably in silence. I should also add, we were the only young folks working on the GSR team. And when I say young, I mean one employee told me that her first son's 50th birthday was approaching. That should give you an idea of, the age difference, age gap, and things like that. It is also a cultural trait. I am Jamaican, and one thing about Jamaicans, we not friendly. A lot of us, we were actually raised to leave friend and company alone. And this is not to say we don't know how to do our jobs, because I was great at doing my job and I was great at customer service. However, when it came to my interactions with my coworkers, if I don't have a friendship with you, that does not mean that I have a problem with you. Their response to that, it really made me wonder how the other Jamaicans, prior to us, how they acted, because I think even the year previously they said they worked with a Jamaican, and I can only assume that she was the complete opposite of me. Maybe she was very talkative and like best friends with everybody and just up over and under everybody. That's what I can assume, because there is no way you would see my personality and see that I'm really just a quiet person and I am mostly to myself and make a problem out of that. It's also important to note that majority of the individuals on the GSR teams, they are all Americans. Now let me say this. I've visited America a few times before my work and travel experience. I've also lived in America, and I'm not saying this to brag. I am saying this to explain that I feel as if I've already experienced certain things when it came to American culture, right? Now, given that fact, and given the fact that I am introverted and I don't often speak and engage in conversations. The conversations that I would have engaged in were the conversations to learn about different cultures. So when the other J ones came, one from China and one from Croatia, I was always talking to them because I loved hearing their languages. I loved, hearing about the different things in their culture versus my culture. You understand what I'm saying? And also they were my age group. So it's not that I did not speak to anybody. It's not like I was in malice. I didn't greet. I didn't say good morning or anything like that. It's just I did not build that relationship that they wanted me to have with them, and they made me a villain because of that. There's another coworker. We will call her I Spy. This lady antagonized throughout the summer. It's like she found joy in doing it, and honestly, this might be my own, feelings, but when I tell you all of these things that happened, I hope you will see why I say this. The first thing I noticed about her is that she was always butting in and disrupting our conversations. I'm going to start reading. I'm not saying this as if we were at work wasting our time and not doing our jobs, but everybody know what it's like to work a 9 to 5. You're not going to be busy around the clock. We have slow moments, and obviously that would be the only time we would, say something to each other. When she sees us speaking, she will literally walk over to us and would somebody could somebody she says it literally like that, exactly like that, because she's trying to get us to go and do something, but I feel like it's more so literally trying to get us to be apart. I remember once, I'm reading now, I remember once she asked me to refill the refrigerator. I should have also said this earlier. This is a Michigan, people. So if you find some way, somehow you find yourself in Mackinac City, bring cold clothes. Because I was there and I assumed, oh, it's summer. So, I mean, yeah, I knew Michigan was up north, but I still was not expecting it to be as cold as it was. Okay. We were freezing. And I'm also anemic. So I'm just literally always cold. My other medical condition that I have, it makes me cold also. Midgets always a freeze people, right? So this day she comes over and she asks me to refill the refrigerator. It's one of our duties working in the store. Because I was cold, I was working with my sister that day, so I asked my sister to do it for me. This lady is going to come to me and ask me why is she doing it and not me. So I explained to her that I'm too cold, so I asked her to do it. Then she said, "Well, what's going to happen when you're here working by yourself?" So I said that would be no issue because I will close the door, that way I won't be cold anymore. Some of you hearing this might say, oh, but that's not that big of a deal. This lady, I spy, she is very passive aggressive. Honestly, you will not really understand unless you were there in that moment. But the manner in which she asked me that, you could pick up that, there was something behind it. That's another, I guess, problem. They would tell us something this week or this day, and by the next, it's something totally different. And it's almost like they want to chastise you for it. In your head, you're like, but it wasn't like this, or I didn't have to do this. And it just does not make any sense. I have an example of this. When the main store finally opened up, I got to work one day, and Puss, she was in the break room. I was counting my drawers because, I had to work the cashier, blah, blah, blah. And she comes to me and she was somewhat upset, and she was saying the time on your schedule is a time that you should be around the counter in the mornings. I honestly don't remember what I said in that moment. I'm not sure if I said anything, but in my mind, I was honestly wondering if this lady was okay. Last time I checked, I was not counting the drawer for fun. I was not counting money because I love to do it. It is a part of my job. So if, for example, if you put me on the schedule that my time starts at 8:45, I'm counting the drawer at 8:45 because that is the time that you put me to start. If you're going to tell me that that's the time I should be around the counter, then obviously you're going to have to pay me to come in earlier. I mean, duh, like we're not doing free work over here. You get what I'm saying? So that did not make sense. And mind you, she literally just came over and said it on a random day. Never, ever, ever heard of doing that before. Nobody else was doing that. She literally just said it on a random day. Say, oh, actually, the time, da 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 da. Like, lady, what? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like every single day, it was like a new rule or a new thing, and it just did not make any sense. And I'm assuming that they realized what she said did not make any sense because in the weeks that followed, they actually started counting the drawers for us. Y'all thought I was finished with I Spy? No, I am not done with her because, like I said, it felt like this lady was antagonizing my sister and I. So later on in the summer, when the main store was finally open, if I'm being honest, they did not need all of us most of the time, but they did give us our hours and we were grateful for that. So with that being said, they expected you to do certain things based on the register that you were working that day. So that day I was CM3, and that's the early shift, and it's at the back of the counter kind of, so they don't really expect people to be cashing at that one. So they expect us to be out on the floor, organizing, restocking, doing things like that, right? So that's what I was basically doing all morning. I went over to the counter and my sister said something to me about school. So I was about to tell her about the changes my school made about the Latin awards. As we are there talking, probably for literally just a minute, I see from my peripheral, I spy coming over. And I am not exaggerating, I am not lying. This is literally how the situation played out. My sister and I are standing facing each other like this. And I Spy comes over to us and stands not in the middle of our conversation, but in the middle. So as we are like this right here, she's right here. And she comes over to us and she just stands. She says nothing. We're talking, having our conversation, and she comes and she just stands. So we're there talking, but after some time I'm feeling uncomfortable. So I turn to look at her, like literally I look at her like this.
You could back up a little
And
bit.
I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. This lady is going to say, "Oh, we can't be speaking because if someone sees, we might get in trouble." Honestly, at that point, I had nothing to say. I had nothing to say. I do believe I probably said though, I just came over here, but I think I eventually walked away because I'm like, forget this. Like this don't make no sense. I literally just went over there to talk to my sister. When I even finished the conversation, probably to this day, my sister does not know what I was going to say about the changes in the Latin award, right? So that's why my sister feels like this is crazy, because at this point it feels like we are being targeted, because why would you do that? And once again, in such a disrespectful manner. You see two adults speaking and you come and you stand in the middle of their conversation, and to make matters worse, you did not even say anything. You did not say excuse me, nothing. She literally comes and stands in silence. That is rude. That is very rude. In that moment, it solidified for me that this lady was truly antagonizing us. Now, once again, this may just be our opinions and our feelings, but we did, in fact, test that theory. There was one specific day when almost everybody was around the counter. When I say almost everyone, I think it was literally all of us working on the team that day except her. So we were all around the counter, chatting, laughing, having conversations, everything. And she did not come over there, not once, to say anything to any of us about talking. So I have to assume, oh, so it's only a problem when my sister and I do it. We are getting deep into the nitty gritty right now, okay? I am about to tell you probably our biggest issue my sister and I had working at Mackinac State Historic Parks, and that is the meeting we had with the so-called HR director, Mr. Big Bad Wolf himself.